Good, happy Wednesday morning, March 31st, 2021. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Wednesday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday morning, but first up, let's begin with a look at your COVID-19 numbers for today. Let's take a look at those right now. And here is a look at those COVID-19 numbers for all of you. There are 83,714 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. There are 1,237 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And there are 80 current number of hospitalizations for COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And that is a look at your COVID-19 numbers in New Hampshire. Vaccine eligibility in New Hampshire expands to those age 30 and up today. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
This is your moment to get a healthcare plan at a price that fits your budget and the care you deserve. Get started now.
By the end of this week, vaccine eligibility will be open to everyone over the age of 16. Monday started with those age 40 and up, and tomorrow it opens up to those over 30.
I think it's just another step in the right direction, and just looking forward to seeing friends and family again.
Adam Martell is in his 30s and wants to get the vaccine as soon as he can.
It's everyone's preference what they want to do, but I mean, if it's available, I think a lot of people should take the opportunity to do it.
But not everyone's on board. Some in this age group responded to our post on Facebook saying they won't get the shot.
I understand that people think, that they might not die from this and that they'll be fine. But we have to remember what our responsibility to our neighbor is. They might be fine, but they might also spread it to someone who's not fine.
Dr. Michael Gilbert of Catholic Medical Center says there's a risk at any age to develop serious symptoms. And right now, he is seeing a rise in younger people being hospitalized.
Some of them are turning into the long haulers who have chronic symptoms that go on for months. And we don't know what the long-term ramifications of that are going to be for them. We can only support and encourage. And at the end of the day, as a community, we all have to do our part. And, for the vast majority of the folks in the state, doing their part is getting vaccinated.
Everyone 16 years and older will be able to sign up for a vaccine by this Friday, April 2nd. Reporting in Hooksett, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Woman from Nashua selected to join all commercial SpaceX flight into orbit. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Just about a month ago, we were rooting her on.
I kind of feel like space has always been a part of me and who I am.
Today, from this historic launch complex at Kennedy Space Center in Florida,
it is such an honor to be part of the Inspiration 4 crew.
Dr. Cyan Proctor's lifelong dream taking flight.
So when I think about sitting here and what we're going to be doing with Inspiration 4, I can't help But to think about my father's legacy.
Her father, a NASA contractor, helped put Neil Armstrong on the moon. His love of space exploration passed down to his daughter, who found a passion for aviation while growing up in Nashua next to the airport. She had a brush with becoming an astronaut herself in 2009.
Something that I have wanted my entire life. And I'm so thankful and so happy to be here. And I feel so fortunate that I'm going to space with these people around me.
She'll train with this crew for spaceflight, serving as Inspiration 4's mission pilot. They'll prepare for orbit on the Falcon 9 launch vehicle and Dragon spacecraft, which is currently attached to the International Space Station. Once it returns, it will be inspected and prepared for Proctor's mission, with plans to take flight as soon as this fall. Her dream with her late dad coming full circle. Just an incredible story. And to top it off, 2 days ago, it was Dr. Proctor's birthday. She told us last month in that interview this would be the ultimate birthday present, and she found out just 2 days later. Just incredible. Reporting live, I'm Charisse LeClaire, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire gets boost in federal funds to help vaccination efforts. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
The death of George Floyd transformed this nation.
I am really grateful to the National Guard and the Salem Fire Department and so many others who really have stepped up to make these mass vaccination sites possible.
The energy at the mall in Salem, upbeat, almost electric on Tuesday, bright sunshine, and lots of thumbs up from people leaving.
But people are happy to be getting their vaccinations, and we know how important it is to ramp up the numbers of shots in arms.
New Hampshire Senate delegation upbeat as well. Senator Shaheen, one of the architects of the supplemental funding, after she cried foul on how the CDC calculated CARES Act allocations last December using city population size.
The funding that's coming to our both cities and towns is going to come based mostly on a per capita basis. Some of the funding is going to go directly to those towns that qualify for community development block grants.
Senator Shaheen says New Hampshire DHHS is the first recipient of the grant money. Accelerating vaccinations is the priority.
Cover the costs of the sites that we need, help with the cost of people who are actually administering the vaccinations.
Flexibility is built in for local communities.
And they're going to be able to use those for COVID-related expenses, but also to replace revenues that they've lost because of COVID-related expenses.
The first $12 million was paid to New Hampshire today. The rest will come in installments starting in April. In Salem, Amy Cavino, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. More federal money headed to New Hampshire for teacher COVID-19 testing. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Once a week, any employee of the Manchester School District can receive a COVID-19 test. The goal is to alert anyone who may be asymptomatic and stop the virus from spreading throughout schools and district offices.
Then we submit to UNH Manchester, and they run the test kits for us.
Any irregular test results are passed off to the Manchester Health Department, which then works with the school district for further screenings. About 70 people take part in the program a week.
As we've been managing COVID, we keep looking for how else can we support our staff? How else can we communicate that we're looking for every way to keep our buildings, our schools safe? And this was just another layer.
This testing program is funded through money allocated in the CARES Act. The federal government just recently allocated another $41 million for New Hampshire in the American Rescue Plan. 85% of which must be used for surveillance testing in K through 12 schools. But according to the state's Department of Education, other than Manchester, no other district has used the original CARES Act funding.
It's early. We also have about $350.5 million coming to help schools with all of the other expenses of bringing kids back full time. So there is funding coming. Schools need to know what's available. I hope the Department of Education in New Hampshire is going to get those dollars out and make school districts aware as soon as possible.
Now, that additional $41 million will be provided to New Hampshire through July of 2022. The New Hampshire School Administrators Association says it will be discussing this opportunity during its monthly meeting in April. Reporting live, I'm Tim Callery, WMUR News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. With more people working remotely, northern New Hampshire sees boom in out-of-state home buyers. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Believing Dreams, Angel Nova, the new feminine fragrance, Mugler.
Some experts say in many ways it's an unprecedented market for real estate in New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont. Chris Mazziello of the Mazziello Group says pre-pandemic about 10% of their buyers in this region were from out of state.
As we started to kind of move through the early stages of COVID, we saw a really sharp increase in out-of-state buyer activities. You know, people coming here or people buying properties sight unseen, which is somewhat uncommon back then, a year ago, but not as much now. It's pretty common.
Mazziello says in the last year, about 35% of their buyers have been from out of state, and they think that a dramatic shift in the urban workforce is largely the cause.
Real estate officials say that one thing the pandemic has taught employers and employees is that many people can work virtually anywhere, meaning that people are thinking more about where they want to live rather than where they have to live.
According to the New Hampshire Realtors Association, the state's most northern counties have seen some of the biggest increases in home sales.
The record numbers that you're seeing on the New Hampshire Association of Realtors website, those are record numbers with record number of homes not being on the market. The supply is so low, but still we're selling more houses.
With low inventory and high demand, it's a seller's market, and experts don't see that changing anytime soon. Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Body found in Merrimack River, identified as missing Nashua man. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
A body discovered in the Merrimack River in Massachusetts has been identified as a missing Nashua man. Nashua police say Greg Serby's body was found in Tingsboro on March the 21st. Serby had been reported missing in February.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. teenage bystander testifies in Derek Chauvin trial. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Tuesday night. Those troubling new numbers on the coronavirus here in the U.S., what authorities are seeing in more than 20 states now, and the reason why, they say. But we are going to begin tonight with the searing new testimony in the trial of former police officer Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. The young witnesses today, one just 9 years old, 3 teenagers taking the stand too. Darnella Frazier, 17 at the time, there that day with her 9-year-old cousin. The two of them walking by the officers, pinning George Floyd down. Darnella Frazier turning back, capturing that video now seen around the world. She told jurors today she has stayed up nights apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more to save his life. The 9-year-old witness, and the moment in court today, Derek Chauvin took off his mask so she could identify him. And late today, the fire department EMT, Genevieve Hansen, off duty that day, also a witness. She offered to help. She is seen on the left here in the sweatshirt on an officer's body camera. Testifying today, she repeatedly called for them to check George Floyd's pulse. The defense cross-examining her just moments ago on ABC's Alex Perez, leading us off from Minneapolis tonight.
In court today, the jury hearing from the teenage girl who recorded the video that sparked international outrage, capturing George Floyd's final moments. Darnella Frazier was 17 then. You can see her here walking to the corner store with her 9-year-old cousin. The judge allowing her to testify off camera as she described how she saw what was happening and ushered the child into that store.
Was there anything about the scene that you didn't want your cousin to see?
Yes.
And what was that?
A man terrified, scared, begging for his life.
Frazier, seen here, standing by the wall, recording as now former police officer Derek Chauvin pinned Floyd down with a knee on his neck.
I heard George Floyd saying, "I can't breathe, please get off of me. I can't breathe." He cried for his mom. He was in pain. It seemed like he knew. He knew it was over for him.
The experience forever seared into her memory.
When I look at George Floyd, I look at my dad. I look at my brothers. I look at my cousins, my uncles, because they are all black. I look at how that could have been one of them. It's been nights. I stayed up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more.
The jury then hearing from her 9-year-old cousin, who identified Chauvin when he stood up and removed his mask.
So is that the person then you saw?
Yes.
The girl testifying Chauvin kept his knee on Floyd's neck even after the paramedics arrived.
They asked him nicely to get off of him.
And when they asked him nicely to get off of him, what did he do?
He still stayed on him.
The prosecution then calling 2 other teenaged eyewitnesses, Kaylin Gilbert and her friend Alyssa Funari, who testified that as Floyd grew weaker, Chauvin applied even more pressure on his neck.
At one point, I saw him put more and more weight onto him.
And how could you tell that?
I saw his back foot or leg lift off the ground and his hands go in his pocket.
The jury then hearing from Minneapolis firefighter Genevieve Hansen, who happened upon the scene and begged officers to take Floyd's pulse.
Get off the street. He's not responsive right now. He's not responsive right now, bro.
Hansen then calling 911 herself.
I literally watched police officers not take a pulse and not do anything to save a man. And I am a first responder myself.
When you couldn't do that, how did that make you feel?
Totally distressed.
Were you frustrated?
Yes.
Donald Williams, who was standing next to her that day, also called 911.
He just pretty much just killed this guy that wasn't resisting arrest. He had his knee on the dude's neck the whole time.
Defense attorney Eric Nelson argues the police officers saw the crowd of onlookers as a threat, but he did not force the issue with the teenage girls who testified today. He did aggressively question Williams about his words to Chauvin.
You call him bogus.
I did.
You called him a bum at least 13 times.
That's what you counted in the video?
That's what I counted.
And that's what you got, 13.
Those terms grew more and more angry. Would you agree with that?
They grew more and more pleading for life.
And Alex Perez joins us now from Minneapolis tonight. And Alex, the defense attorney, also cross-examining that firefighter, Genevieve Hansen, asking her about the crowd gathered at the scene.
Yeah, David, the firefighter responded to the defense by saying, I don't know if you've ever seen anyone be killed. It's upsetting. She clearly was frustrated. The entire cross-examination was tense. The judge at the end telling her she must answer the questions asked of her. She's due back on the witness stand tomorrow morning. David?
All right, Alex Perez leading us off again tonight. Alex, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. Have a great rest of your day and see you tomorrow for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.